Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara, or Lara Likes Mascara, and I love to talk about makeup, consumption, and consumerism and how it affects and has affected my life in particular, but also people at large, like the beauty community more generally. And I feel like my videos sort of fall in one of two camps. There's either the type of video where it's very specific in examining my own personal makeup collection, where I do Project Pan videos, blush roulette, makeup no-buys and declutters, where I'm showing which products are leaving my collection, how much progress I have made on the things that I am keeping, and looking at specific products and figuring out how I can make use out of them. And then in the other camp, we have videos where it's more of a makeup analysis type video, where I'm analyzing phenomenon that's happening in the beauty community at large, like underconsumption, which was this big trend on TikTok, and the de-influencing movement, or where I'm talking about PR as a phenomenon and how that impacts beauty influencers and the content that they make. I will link my makeup analysis playlist right here. Those videos tend to be more deep dives. This video is kind of a combination of the two, where I am thinking more broadly about how makeup consumerism and marketing and influencing works, but I am also looking specifically at my collection and how all of those things have impacted me and my own purchases. So as you can probably tell from the title, I am going to be talking about specific products in my collection that I have been influenced to buy because of the beauty community, whether that is because of YouTubers or TikTokers or whatever. People have specifically made me buy it. Now, to be clear, influencers cannot make you buy anything. Obviously, we have choice in the matter, but damn, makeup marketing is persuasive. And I think that all of us who exist here on Beauty YouTube have been persuaded to purchase at least some of our makeup through influencers. And I don't think this is on the whole a bad thing. Obviously, word of mouth is a really powerful way to sell products. If I saw an ad for, I don't know, a new like CoverGirl mascara, and there were claims about how lengthening it is, what an excellent mascara it is, super volumizing, I mean, I would maybe still be interested, but I would be much less interested than if there was an influencer who I like and trust and watch all of their content, who was telling me personally about what a great mascara it was. That to me is much more convincing. And of course it makes sense that we are going to purchase products that we have been told by an actual person, actual consumer, is good. We might trust our friends more than we would trust someone on the internet, because we know our friends and we probably trust their recommendations a bit better. And people on the internet are maybe a bit swayed because they might be being paid by these brands or getting free product from these brands. But nonetheless, a review from an influencer is still a review, and that is always going to be more effective than just a one-off ad that we see on a billboard. Now, I am saying all of this because in no way am I saying that we should never buy things on the recommendations of beauty YouTubers, or that they are completely untrustworthy and we shouldn't allow ourselves to be influenced at all by them. By no means. Like, buy what you want to buy, trust who you want to trust. On the whole, I have been pretty happy with the products that I've purchased on recommendation from people who I watch here on YouTube. But I do think that we should still be critical about what we're buying and how much we're buying and how influenced we are by people who we don't know and who we don't know if we can trust. I think that there's different levels, you know, like there's some YouTubers who are going to be very critical with the products that they try, and they are going to say, I love this, or I hated this. They're going to be really upfront. But I can think of some people who I have literally never heard them give a bad review for any product. Like, they are just going to say across the board, like, pretty general good things about everything. So, you know, take each review with a grain of salt. But in thinking more critically about whose reviews we're trusting, I think it makes sense to look at our own makeup collections and think about the products that we have purchased on recommendation from YouTubers, and think about if those have been good recommendations, if they have worked for us. Because I feel like I don't necessarily keep track of which products I purchased, which products that I was influenced to buy, and which products I just bought you know, from a friend's recommendation or because it looked nice, like whatever. So I have not been keeping track of who gives good recommendations and whose recommendations actually do not work for me. And I think I probably should have been doing this, because how do I know if I can trust someone in the future if their recommendations haven't worked for me in the past? Do you know what I mean? So I haven't seen anyone do a video like this before, but the idea popped into my mind and I was like, you know what? I should look at my own collection and evaluate it in this way. So that's what I'm going to do. I have a bunch of products that I have bought on explicit recommendations from beauty YouTubers. Sometimes I can pinpoint the exact person whose recommendation I purchased it on, and sometimes it's just a more general, like, this is beloved by every single person who makes beauty content, and so I can't pinpoint the specific person who like tipped me over the edge of purchasing it. I will try to explain with each product. But let's start out with a positive recommendation. I think that that makes sense to do it that way. So this is the Fenty Beauty Ease Drops. This is a blurring skin tint, so it's a foundation, and it looks a bit worse for wear right now, but this is my favorite foundation in my collection, and I bought this on recommendation from Julia Adams. I think other people have liked it as well. I think Kelly Gooch has really enjoyed it, but the specific person who made me buy it was Julia Adams. We have similar skin, I think, in that she has very oily skin and it is acne prone, although I kind of think the acne prone label is BS. And I think we have similar-ish skin tone, and she's not afraid to say products that she hates. She's very explicit about that. So I bought this on her recommendation, and this has been a great recommendation. I don't even think that I realize how good it is until I use another foundation for a while, and then I like use this again, and I'm like, wow. This is just, it's so good. It's so good for oily skin. The way that it blends in, like love it. This is a favorite. This is a product that when I finish it, I might repurchase it. I'm not sure, because, you know, I always like trying new products. I'm sure there's always new stuff coming onto the market, but at this point I feel comfortable saying that this is a potential repurchase. And I do not say that with very many products at all. So starting off strong, great. This is a positive. One that is a negative, this one I can also trace back to the person who recommended it. This is the NYX Glitter Primer. This is a recommendation from Sarah Rose, and I don't know why I even thought that this was a product I needed in my collection. I think it was like, oh, this is like a gap that I have. I have eyelid primers, but I don't have a specific glittery eyelid primer, and I need something that's going to make the glitter pop. Now I realize that like glitter is not my thing. I much prefer a matte eyeshadow look most of the time, and when I do use sparkle, like I don't care if it's sparkly like at 8 out of 10 level sparkle or 9 or 10 out of 10. Like that's not really important to me. For eyelashes, I would say I care if my lashes are a 10 out of 10 versus an 8 out of 10. For glittery eyeshadow, they're not. So I think part of this is like my problem. I hadn't thought through the usefulness of this in my collection, but yeah, this is not a product I've ended up using. I don't think it was a bad recommendation for the right person. I'm sure it's a good product if you really, really care about your glitter and your sparkle. But for me, I was influenced to buy this and I regret buying it. So one positive, one negative. Let's put that over there. The next one, this is something that I cannot pinpoint to one individual because literally everybody uses this product. This is e.l.f.'s #1 bestseller. You know what I'm gonna bring up here. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter Glow Booster for Radiant Skin. This was inspired by a Charlotte Tilbury product. This is an exact dupe. Some people like this one better than the original, but by all accounts, it sounds like it is super, super similar. I like this product. I would not say that I love it, but I think that that is partially a me personally thing and my skin tone and skin texture. I have very oily skin, and so a dewy foundation is just not ideal for me. I need something mattifying. This is very much dewifying. So I think this is a good recommendation. Like, it's definitely a good product. It for sure serves the purpose of like a almost like priming layer or like a highlighting layer. I think the issue for me is that I have oily skin, and so I don't love the look of this by itself without anything else. Like, I think it's good as a very, very thin foundation. If I want to do more of a full face of makeup, I will still put on like concealer and powder, and then it kind of a little bit defeats the purpose for me. I know some people use this specifically in like highlighting regions on their face, like all over their cheeks and temple zone and a little bit on their forehead, nose, whatever. This is actually, I think a lighter shade would have been better for me in that sense. Like it matches me in the summer pretty well, but I would not be able to get away with this as just a highlight, especially in the winter, because it would be like, why is your highlight darker than your skin? Like, this should be a bronzer, you know what I mean? So I don't think I regret this purchase, but I don't think this was the right choice for me. Like, I was definitely influenced. I just built up this idea that this would be like such a perfect product because everyone loved it so much, without stopping to think if I would love it so much because of what it was. You know, it was just sort of like, oh, this is a universally excellent product. Like, that kind of influencing really got me. Like, I don't know. I think I probably need to have this another summer to get more use out of it. I'm like borderline on this one. I'm not sure. It's kind of in the middle. But if I hadn't been as influenced, if it wasn't everywhere, I definitely would not have purchased it. These other ones, like, maybe, you know? This one, maybe I would have bought anyways. I needed a new foundation and it sounded good. This, it was just purely the influencing of it. This was not filling a gap in my collection, really. So that's gonna go in the middle there. What else do we got? Let's talk about a blush. This is a very old blush. This is Milani Luminoso. I recently talked about this in my blush roulette because this was my, I think, August blush or possibly July, and now this is not at all to my preferences. It's way too glowy. Do you notice a theme here? How like I'm talking about super glowy products not being for me, and I much prefer, like, look at that, a nude blush now, or even a bright pink. But like this shade of coral, for whatever reason, it's not really working on me. And if someone now was influencing me to buy something like this, I would be like, you know what? No, like that's really not up my alley. However, when I bought this, which was obviously a very, very long time ago, I honestly don't think that I used to be as discerning as I am now with makeup products. Like, the products that I used to buy that were influenced by, you know, recommendations on YouTube, I wouldn't even think about whether I would like them or if they suited my preferences or whatever. It was just like, oh, this is supposed to be a great product, so I'm gonna love it. Now I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be a great product, but would it fit into my life? You know, obviously that didn't work with the e.l.f. one, but I try to think about, if it's an eyeshadow palette, is it the color story that I like? If it's a foundation, is it suited for oily skin? That kind of thing. With this, I don't even remember going through that process. It was just like, oh my god, everyone loves this blush, so I need to buy this blush. Despite that, I'm going to say that this was a positive purchase, that I really enjoyed it, and this was a great recommendation because for so many years I did love it. Now I struggled to reach for it. I don't like it as much. It's not as suited to my preferences, but for sure the first little while after I owned it, I loved it and I was so happy that I had purchased it. So we're going to go with that, because most products you don't own for like 8 years or 10 years or whatever, and what matters is the first few years after you buy it. That's when it shows whether you are using it and enjoying it or not. So based on that, this was definitely a good purchase. But as I said, I am more discerning now with the products that I purchased, but that's going to go in the good side of things. Let's talk about a highlight now. So this is the Becca highlight in Rose Quartz, and the popular highlight was, oh my god, what was the Becca highlight? You know, like the hero product from Becca. I actually didn't buy that because I didn't like the packaging. It's like gray. Like, it looks super ugly to me. This is stunning. This gold, so nice. So that's why I purchased this. But the shade is actually not great on me. It's like it's obvious on my skin. It really stands out. It's not that it's too pinky. It's too oh, it's too light, it's too bright, something. I don't know. This is actually not a great product for me, and I never reach for it. Now, part of that I must say is because I'm trying to pan my other main highlight, the MAC Soft and Gentle one. But when I have reached for this as like a, you know, treat myself because I'm bored of that one, I haven't liked it that much. And I think that I honestly just bought it because, one, the packaging was pretty, and because people had been obsessed with the Becca highlight. So I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna love the formula, I'm gonna love the shade, but it's not even just the shade. Like, I also don't like the formula, which is, you know, what people love about the Becca highlights. So this was not a great purchase. Maybe one day I will fall in love with it, you know, I will learn to make it work, but this is just, yeah, this was purely because I was influenced to buy it and not because I thought that I would like it or because I needed it. This was not a well-considered purchase. However, that's not one that I'm considering decluttering, whereas I am considering decluttering the NYX eyelid primer, so that's something, I think. The next one I want to talk about, I have talked about many times before in my collection, although it is more of a makeup tool than a makeup product. This is the most important step in my makeup application. This is my Shiseido eyelash curler, and I have owned it, I don't know if since high school, maybe since undergrad, which was more than 10 years ago now when I started, and it has served me well. It still works perfectly fine. I think that there is a little bit of wear showing on part of the tool. I have replaced the eyelash curler pads many, many, many times. I would say probably every like 4 to 8 months maybe is how often I replace them. But this has been incredible. This is funny because I purchased this because of like YouTuber recommendations after having already purchased a different eyelash curler also on YouTuber recommendations. Like, I take my eyelash curler recommendations so seriously. I used to own the Shu Uemura eyelash curler, and that was also great. I think I started out with like a Revlon or e.l.f. eyelash curler or something, and I realized how important lashes were to me in my makeup application. And so I heard about the Shu Uemura one, and I was like, oh, you know what? If that is going to do great things for my lashes, I am happy to invest in that. And so I did, and then maybe a year or two later, I heard that this was even better. So I went and purchased this. It's funny because with lash products, like with mascaras, I never felt the need to buy high-end mascaras because I really felt like you could get the same result with a drugstore mascara, and also because obviously they don't last as long. I mean, you're ostensibly supposed to keep mascaras for 3 months. I obviously do not do that, but you know, that being said, you are supposed to. Whereas eyelash curlers, I know that this is going to last for a decade or more. So I'm happy to spend a high-end price tag on it. But yeah, this is excellent. Like, it's not cruelty-free, so I don't want to influence people to buy it. But this is such an important step in my makeup routine, and truly, I'm so glad that I purchased it all those years ago because my eyelashes have looked great ever since. So this has been a big thumbs up influence product, and this is the kind of product that like a recommendation could not have come from someone else, from like a friend or from me randomly like going to the drugstore and picking something out. Like, my friends are not big into mascara, you know, like maybe I'll get like a blush recommendation, no, not even, I don't know, maybe I'll get a random skincare product recommendation from them, but like eyelash curler, not gonna happen. So this recommendation could only have come from someone who makes beauty content because it's so niche, it's so specific. So really glad that I listened to that. That obviously goes in that pile. I'm gonna talk about one more product, and that is this lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury in JK Magic. Now, this is the only Charlotte Tilbury product that has been purchased in my collection. I was also decluttered a mini lipstick. It was like part of the birthday gift from a friend. This is a product, actually I asked for it for my birthday, but like I effectively bought it because I would have bought it myself if I didn't ask for it. And this was my first ever high-end lipstick. You can see how much I've used. Like, obviously there's a ton left, but I have completely flattened that off there. And I was blown away when I first used this because just like the texture and consistency was so above and beyond anything that I'd ever used as a lipstick before, because I had exclusively used drugstore products before trying that. And that was in maybe 3 years ago-ish. 2020 and 2021 is when Charlotte Tilbury really like came onto the map. I don't think I had heard of the brand before. And all of a sudden I was inundated by all of these beautiful pictures of like, I just feel like the marketing of Charlotte Tilbury and the products and everything is unparalleled in terms of the aesthetic. I haven't obviously tried that many products, but the marketing was so good, and you know, influencers were talking about the lipsticks so much and how good all the products were, but I was especially interested in the lipsticks. Like, look at the packaging of this. It's just beautiful. I also realized that I didn't have any nude lipsticks at the time. Like, that was an actual gap in my collection because I used to use dark lips and red lips so much. Like, nude was just not something that I ever reached for, which is wild thinking about now because that's like the go-to color for most people. But I selected this product. Yeah, I've got a lot of use out of it. I can like see in there. And wow, was I blown away by this. Now, this is also something that I would like use so sparingly because I liked it so much, and I am trying to like prevent myself from doing that now. Like, I really want to use my products even if I love them, even if they were expensive, but I loved it so much, and it was so much nicer than the rest of my collection, honestly, that I adored it. All this to say, this is not a regret. I love the shade of this product, and this was a really good recommendation for me personally. Like, I don't know how anyone could dislike this. The formula, the shades of this lipstick line is so good. I'm really glad that I was influenced to buy this lipstick. Now, honestly, at this point, I don't need more lipsticks. So as much as I would love to get more Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks, it's not happening because I don't need them. Obviously, back then, I didn't need them either, but I'm still glad that I made that purchase. So look at this. We've got 4 in the positive category. We've got 1 in the maybe category. And then we've got 2 in the no category. So this is actually a lot more positive than I was expecting. Like, okay, even if we say that this e.l.f. one is in the no's, there's still more in the positive category than in the negative, which is good. Like, I have been influenced and I have been happy with the outcome. I have been happy with the products that I've purchased, and they have worked for me on the whole. Not all the time, but this is better than a cynic like myself was expecting. That being said, obviously there are still products that I did not like, that I was influenced to buy. So this is just a good lesson to myself and to anyone out there to really think through all the products you're buying. Even if everyone in the world loves it, would it work for you? You have to think about that. You have to consider why these influencers are trying to get you to buy these products. But that is it for today. Let me know if you like this video and if you would like to see similar ones in future. These were just like random products that I pulled. I could probably do a part 2, but I was just curious to see if I was happy with what I had been influenced to buy. I'm curious to hear if you are in the same situation, if you are happy with what you're influenced to buy or not. But that is all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.